Right, hi everyone. Um, so as some of you know, I've been off for a while. Um, I was absolutely annihilated with a medley, a series of illnesses, which entirely wiped any sort of energy or um, inclination to express this or um, kind of creative energy. So I've just been focusing on recovery. So I've completely dropped the all kind of activities online for the last, I think it's been like a couple months or something like that. But I'm feeling alright now, so I've begun working my way back through emails and conversations and whatnot. So if you're if you were expecting a response from me, it shouldn't be too long before I get back to you. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about or kind of give my experience with kind of like illnesses or health challenges or, you know, biological process or whatever you'd like to call it. It's quite odd because the experience of illness or like physical discomfort or, you know, physical suffering it's kind of strangely different. You know, it's hard to tell how much of that perceived difference is just due to the conditions of whatever illness happens to be here right now, or due to the conditions of, you know, what I talk about on this channel. But the experience of it is very different because I've not really been properly ill, you know, since I started talking about this, to be honest. And you know, maybe some of you will be able to relate to this, but it seems that a big mechanism for coping with physical pain or illness or health challenges or discomfort, the mind is or that kind of personal narrative seems to be very good at creating a kind of distracting aversion from the immediate experience of illness or the physicality of biology. The sensory experience and immediacy. It provides a big kind of escape from that, or that's kind of what it seems like. It doesn't really, but in a way it kind of does. And you know what I mean by that is, for example, say say you're ill. My experience of proper illness before was there would be a kind of narrative that ran along with it, and framed it as a personal experience, and then from that there was kind of like a distancing from the immediacy of that experience, the immediacy of existing, being alive in a as this body, or however you'd like to frame it. And there's kind of like a helplessness that goes along with that can be sensed at one level, which is dealt with by, for example, distraction and aversion. So, for example, thinking about how long this is going to last, or what I'm going to do when I'm better, or what I can do now to speed up recovery, or like dopamine hits, say for example comfort eating, or engaging in a distracting activity like TV, or computer games, or having a project to work on that makes you feel like you're in control in some way, or having a recovery regime or something. All these kind of manifestations of this thing that's here in the middle of this, owning the experience and relating to it, and then trying to control it. And it turns out that has the effect of coping with the physicality of severe illness, or severe physical discomfort or suffering. But without that, all that's left is just the experience or the sensation, without any sort of framework that can stabilise this identity in the middle of it, this owner of experience. So it's intense in a completely different way. It's like there's nothing but that illness. It's like the body has this very kind of natural wisdom to it, that you're kind of prevented from being immersed in, or like merging with completely, or letting go into completely, because of this personal narrative, this personal relationship with my body, or what I think about this, or any sort of way that narrative is going to appear and destabilise the individual within it. Without that, it's very odd, because it's like with that character kind of half senses that the helplessness that for example, I am at the mercy of biology. I am at the mercy of something more powerful than I am. There's a helplessness to that, but it can cope in certain ways. Without that, it's just like all there is the wisdom of biology, the wisdom of life, the wisdom of physicality and sensation. And it's kind of like that just overwhelms the personal direction of the character completely when it's allowed to, or it's just simply not there. So then the body expresses in its own way. There's nothing standing between experience and illness, or me and illness, or me and my physical discomfort. So it's kind of like there's a portal there. Without sounding too dramatic, there's a portal there to deeper letting go, a deeper clarity of presence, a deeper surrender to the conditions appearing with their infinite wisdom as they are now, without having to do anything about it, without this thing here getting in the road. So then there's just the wide awake sensation of what's appearing now as it is, without the need for a reaction to it or a rejection of it. Then it's kind of like there's no choice but for that to take over. There's no choice but to just be immersed in it as it, or to move into it fully. And there's kind of like a pull into that, into the sensation, into the wisdom of that sensory experience as it's expressing now. So it's a timeless sensation, it's a timeless experience. It's not like I'm ill now and I'm going to get better and this is how long it's going to take. It's just illness. It's just pure physical sensation. I guess you could call it physical suffering or pain. But without the reaction to that and the framing of that, there's a naturalness to it. And like I said, in that pain there's a deeper presence. And it's a strange one because I'd never experienced anything like this before. Maybe a couple times when I was younger, just by memory, but never experienced anything like this before, where it's not apparent anymore. There's no division between what's physical and what's not, what's physical and what's mental or psychological. You could say it's just all physical, or it's just all presence, to put a label on it. Whereas before there'd be a distinction between my physicality, this biological organism, and then me that's living in it, or my mind that is at the centre of it, that relates to it. That division is just not there anymore, so it's just everything's physicality, even thought, even the changes in psychology or tendency of thought. There's like no mind separate from the physicality of sensation. It's all is physicality, if you could even call it that. All is not non-dual. So it's hard to even say if, for example, before, if you were ill, it might affect your mood, might get you down and stuff like that. It might affect your thoughts. Like none of that's really apparent anymore. There's just the simplicity of what's here, without the need for anything within it to relate to it, to step back from it and analyse it or frame it in any sort of way. It's kind of like there's a natural simplicity that takes over or kind of overwhelms the mind when there is a great deal of pain or physical discomfort. I've described an experience I had with this before when I was younger, being an experience when I had a super migraine, and it was kind of like a dissociative, non-dual experience. Stepping out of the body to deal with the pain. It just happened as a defense mechanism to avoid the suffering, to distance from the ownership of that pain, because it was too much for the person. But it's like the thing that's owning the pain, it doesn't function in the same way anymore. So there isn't the need for that. There is already no distance. There's already complete immersion in presence, a singularity, a non-dual naturalness to what's simply here. And there's no possibility to avoid it anymore, to have some sort of like psychological analgesic that needs to run and do its thing to avoid it. Very strange experience. But the physical pain, the illness, is just an opportunity to let go into it, and to let go into what's here. And it's kind of like it's well, I don't know if it's hard or easy to do that, or there's more of an inclination to do that when the pain's here or not, but I guess that just depends. But in my experience recently, it's a gateway, it's an opening, it's an opportunity presenting itself through conditions to let go more into what's here, and to highlight and to show the patterns of aversion and resistance that are built into this, that just aren't natural in the same way as that are kind of have an artificialness to them, an illusion of control when there's no control there, an illusion of a relationship when there is no relationship there, a split in reality that creates a separate individual, and that separate individual tries to manage and handle this, but it can't, because it's not actually here in that way. It's not doing any of that, but at the same time its coping mechanisms seem to do something. For that character, it seem to work to an extent. But in doing that, the byproduct is unnecessary suffering, in my experience. And a kind of like artificial like distance from the wisdom in the pain, and in the physical suffering and the illness. So, it's kind of easy to, if the conditions are right, to maintain a bliss state based on the circumstances of health, or favourable circumstances to support the conditions of meditation, or of not being triggered, or whatever. But what's more valuable than that is the challenging conditions that are like a kind of test of or a kind of display of those coping mechanisms such that there's more opportunity to deepen presence. Or kind of like a test. It's kind of like, can you let go more? Or can this let go even more? When the urge to hold on is stronger than it usually is due to conditions. And again, like I can't remember what my most recent videos were about, but there's just this sense of simplicity, this no pressure for this to be like something that's not, no matter what's here, be it thoughts, be it the seeming real experience of a self. It's just now, presently, as this is letting go, letting go, letting go into what is it that's already here. Everything is already here. It's here. It's present, and that's it. Just what thought is appearing now that creates something here that's uncomfortable, something here that feels an urgency to change this or fix this or move towards something that's not this. What is it that I am that's just here? That's simply and obviously here, completely uncaused. It doesn't need to be attained or achieved, but it can be noticed. It can open up to itself in absolute simplicity. It doesn't require effort, it doesn't need anything. It has no need for things to be different. It's the best news because it's always here, to be recognised, and it's only ever clear to itself as itself right now. And the more that is that kind of energetic relaxation into what already is unfolds as it is now, the more it becomes obvious that it doesn't have to look like anything. It's already freedom, no matter what. There's just a thought happening now that makes it seem like this is not, that there's something better than this, that there's a before or an after. There's something else, that this isn't right, my experience isn't right, it needs to be better, it needs to be, I need to be better. What I'm looking for something and it's not here. I like the phrase, the pressure's off the hook. This is already so inherent. And it's just a relaxation. And nothing has to change, nothing has to happen. And that means no matter what, whatever experience is here now is the right experience. This is the only experience. Talking about this feels quite weird right now because it's been a while since I've talked about this, and I feel like it's just not, it's too complicated. It's like I'm creating something in the language that's not needed. The inefficiency of language is very obvious to me right now. It's kind of like, in doing so, it's tarnishing the absolute pure simplicity of what already is, and it's like there's no need, really. There's no need. But I guess that's just what's happening. Anyway, that'll do for now, and I'll catch up with you all hopefully very soon.